Thank you all. Thank you very much for coming tonight. The world's famous Adventurers Club. We have a special program tonight. Thanks to Carlos and myself, Michael Lawler, 1195. We just got back from Burning Man. Yeah.
We did. It was
yeah. And I have a reputation of sneaking into a lot of events, but this is the first time I ever had to sneak out because they had a shelter-in-place order that we kind of ignored. But anyway, Carlos, how you doing?
I'm excellent. I'm really excited to share with you guys our joint experience. And it's funny because I was thinking about it. There was a moment when I told Michael, hey, whatever happens at Burning Man, we'll stay at Burning Man. We won't talk about it. And here we are talking about it.
Yeah, we violated our oath of
We did.
pledge.
But what did you think of Burning Man? I've been a couple times, and I believe this was your first time, right?
It was. I'm a first-time burner, and I've heard about it for, 10 years or more. We've been thinking about it. I was hoping that my wife, Barbara, would join me one of these years, and the tickets came available. They're really hard to get tickets, and a little expensive. I think the tickets were $575.
From $575 to $1,500.
And they sell out instantly, too. And so, but sometimes they come back on the market for resale, and that's how I got one. Thanks to David McAlexander, one of our club members who was up there. He had an extra ticket. And then Bill Price, another one of our members, he had an extra ticket. So I said, Barbara, come on, we can go. And Barbara's like, I don't know about this year. She had an intuition. Maybe this isn't going to be the right year. So, so we had several members from the Adventurers Club there, Carlos and myself. We had Bill Price, his first time. We had Danee Hazama, who's been there at least 10 times, you think?
I think 15.
15, wow. Danee Hazama is Mr. Burning Man, I think.
He is.
Yeah. Jeff Holmes, he'd been
twice.
So, and then David McAlexander, I think, has been 6 times, but not for the last 10 years. So this was like a little bit of a reunion for him.
Correct.
Yeah, and then you brought Ashley too. How'd that go?
I did. I mean, Ashley is always Ashley. We both had an incredible time, and she's been a couple times prior to me going, and
so she's more veteran than you.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's showing you around, huh?
She did. I think she went in 2014. She was a while back.
Wild girl, huh?
Yeah, big time. I got lucky with her, but she showed me the ropes my first year last year, and it was just as incredible as it was this year.
So how do you explain Burning Man to somebody who's never been there, never seen any pictures?
I would say it's an immersive experience requiring you to really live out of your comfort zone and really try to adapt. But that's how I would summarize it in my mind. It's a really just amazing experience. And
well, let's talk about the geography. Where is it? Burning
Man's in Reno, California. About an hour out of Reno, California, I believe, right?
The Playa.
The Black Rock City.
So I think it's on an Indian reservation, the Paiute Indian Reservation in northwestern corner of Nevada on a dry lake bed.
Hey man, you know more than me.
Just trying to keep it going here.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. I believe so.
Yeah, it's very remote.
Yeah.
The nearest town is Garlac, I think,
correct.
Which is a better part of an hour drive south of.
Yeah, it takes about like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, I believe, maybe 30 to actually get to the location.
It depends if you're driving or walking in mud, though, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So, and how many people attend Burning Man?
I think this year there was about 70,000 people.
Wow. So I looked this up, and that made it the 10th largest city in the state of Nevada, larger than Carson City, the capital. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. How did you feel about, how was your experience? I mean, you were there too. What did you think? It was your first time at Burning Man.
A lot of anticipation. What do we wear? What do we bring? What do we don't bring? How do we act? What do we say? One of the things that's interesting about Burning Man is that there's no money exchanged.
Right.
You can't buy anything. You're not supposed to sell anything. There's no commercialization of anything. So you're supposed to bring things to share. So I'm wondering, what do I bring to share? I didn't know. So I brought some tequila and some little shot glasses, and we're going to have a tequila tasting or whiskey. Bill Price brought 3 or 4 bottles of really nice whiskey. So we were passing out shots to people who came by. I think our first morning, and just got up, and 2 lovely ladies came by with their share, which was a big plate of bacon. Bacon
Oh, really?
that they
You
just
got the
cooked.
bacon?
Yeah.
Nice.
And they were, interestingly, they were wearing aprons, and that's all. So that's kind of what goes on at Burning Man, right?
You see things like that at Burning Man, and it's cool, you know.
Yeah.
Everybody, there's radical acceptance at Burning Man. Doesn't matter what color you are, or how you look, or how you dress. And
Radical acceptance.
yeah, everybody is just like, you know, it's a group of just like a bunch of weirdos, honestly, like, you know, outliers in their own world. They come together and just have a really good time.
Would you say of all ages too?
All ages. You see everyone from kids actually to, like, you know, guys in their 80s and 90s. You know,
Really? Bob, you'd fit in there. We'll save a place for you on the trip next time.
Yeah, a lot. I met one of the last days I was at Burning Man. I met a woman that had been going 27 times consecutively in a row to
Wow.
Burning Man, a original burner from 27 years.
Wow.
And she said it's changed so much, but that I asked her, what keeps you coming back every year? She's like, the culture, the people, the radical acceptance, and you know, the ability just to connect and be yourself and outside of, you know, your regular life.
Tell us about the camps. What are those all about? Are there some groups to get together with their camps, or?
Yeah. So there's various different types of like subculture groups that get together, and they come together, and they, you know, you're encouraged to give back somehow in some way, and it can be anywhere from handing out tequila to maybe teaching a class on how to breathe or meditate or do yoga.
Here on the screen right now are the girls that brought the bacon by. You can see their lovely
that's
aprons.
them.
Yeah.
I don't think I know any of them, but that's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah,
A bit open air in the back, but you know.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty hot, but yeah, you're encouraged to give back as much as you can, and you know, you give more than you take, and I think that's what makes it really amazing.
Yeah, I think they're getting a shot of tequila there in exchange for a piece of bacon. It was a pretty good trade.
Pretty good, yeah. So this past Burning Man, we were an unofficial camp, and me and my friends, we gathered together, and we claimed ourselves as love guards. And basically what that entailed us to do is anybody that was tripping out on maybe an overdose, there's a lot of drugs and alcohol at Burning Man, unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever. But people that would trip out or have a bad experience or maybe just overwhelmed by everything going on would wander to our camp, and then we would just hug them and just say it's going to be okay. So
Now, hugging's much bigger than shaking hands, right?
yeah, big time. Like, you can just be walking.
Total strangers,
and you
instant friends, huh?
You just hug them, you know, and it's a good feeling.
It
It's
is,
really
yeah.
nice, and it's, you know, it's consensual. It's not like sexual or weird or anything. And I mean, it could be, but you know, it's people are really nice at Burning Man. Like,
Very open and friendly.
very open and friendly, and it really.
So this picture here is a camp that we were walking around. We're a little tired. It was a little hot. We needed a break.
Yeah.
And so the people who set up this camp were out doing something else for a while. So we just crashed there for
I think like maybe like 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
There was a cooler. We opened the cooler. We grabbed a drink, and I think you or Bill were like, "Can you do that?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's Burning Man. You
Yeah.
can do whatever you want."
Right. Yeah. They had a whole bar set up there for us. I think I had a michelada and
Yeah.
a bag of chips or something to
Yeah, a bag of chips.
get us through the afternoon.
And it was a good experience. How did you feel about the weather?
The weather, wow. So where do you start? So typically in a Burning Man, you have extreme temperatures. It could be very hot, like 90 degrees or 100 degrees. I think last year it was up like 105. And then it gets cold at night, too. The elevation's 4,000 feet. So it's, think, a high desert in
Very dry.
northern Nevada. So it could be really cold at night. I think it got down into the 40s at night. So it's quite a switch. And as soon as that sun goes down, it gets cold. And then the winds. The winds can be epic. So imagine like a whiteout with dust that is so fine, blowing across this dry lake bed for miles and gaining speed and just clouds of dust. So I think our first night there, we had fabulous weather. It was really quite mild temperatures and a very light wind, not enough wind to kick up any dust. So it was like perfect. And the party was rocking. There was just all kinds of fun stuff. The next night, the wind came up a bit, so it was blowing probably 20 knots or more, and with gusts maybe to 30, and the wind brought the dust with it so thick that I wouldn't be able to see you. And we were riding bikes out in the middle of the Playa, they call it.
That's right.
So imagine Burning Man is arch-shaped, 73,000 people over like a 6 square mile camp overall. They call it Black Rock City. And in the middle there is kind of an open area, and that's where the man is, the statue that's built that they burn. They burn the man. But also out on the Playa, there's all these mutant vehicles, they're called, which are, imagine like you take an old car and you take the body off and then you jack it up and you build all this stuff on. So all kinds of crazy vehicles that are just driving around. You're allowed to hop on, hop off anytime you want. So those mutant vehicles, there's one right there. Look at that one. How do you describe that thing?
That looks like a fire hydrant.
A fire hydrant turned over on its side. Exactly. Yeah, that's it. So
fire extinguisher.
So what goes on inside that vehicle, Carlos?
Anywhere from drugs to sex to just dancing, like all sorts of things happen on these vehicles.
Yeah,
it's pretty wild.
I saw one that was called not the petting zoo, but the heavy petting zoo. So I stayed away from that one, but
yeah,
that's what I tell my wife anyway. Yeah.
I did not see Michael on that one.
Yeah, look at this one here. That's really quite creative. A lot of artistic talent in Burning Man, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. A lot of people put a lot of money and effort into building these things. I think, what are we looking at right there? That's
That's some art sculpture that's out on the Playa, decorated for lights at night.
Oh yeah, I see that to the left.
Yeah.
What did you think of the
Look at this camp here. It's called the Space Goats.
Space Goats.
Yeah. One of my favorite camps was called the Hotel Lobby, and it was on a corner, and I was very intrigued by the decorations, and so we were drawn in there. I was there with David McAlexander, and this was the Friday afternoon when the rain started. And so we just kind of ducked in to get out of what we thought might be a sprinkle for maybe a half hour. Well, it turned out it rained all that day and night. So, but while we're in there, you walk in and there's a doorman who greets you, and he's in full uniform, including this funny little hat like a bellman, and he directs you over to the front desk, and you actually sign the guest book like you're checking in, kind of like a Hotel California. And then they direct you over to the lobby bar, and they have a drink. The drinks were pretty interesting. I think one was called a stool sample, and it was like a chocolate martini with a frozen mini Baby Ruth candy bar in it or something like that.
Yeah.
And then they had a DJ, and you're invited to come over and sing a song, anything you wanted. That lasted for about the first half hour we got there. Then the rain took out all their equipment. So the roof on that, these were just flat, waterproof tarps that, of course, puddled. They weren't expecting the rain. They needed shelter from the sun. And so the rain was puddling up, and you could just see these big bulges of rain. And so they had to get a rake, and one guy took the rake and he kind of lifted it up, which spilled the water over the side, and another guy had a big bucket there, and he's trying to catch all that rain, and it's splashing all over the place. It was a pretty good laugh. This went on for, we were there 3 or 4 hours waiting for the rain to let up, but it never did. Pretty soon guys are wandering in. The streets now are barren. Everybody is starting to shelter in place.
Did you have to ditch your bike? We had to ditch our bikes.
Well, I don't remember what happened to the bike thing, but I had some pretty good shoes on. Oh, let me finish the story, and then I'll get to this picture here. So I got to ruin your shoes or walk barefoot? And it was like, what do we do? And we didn't know. The mud was really thick, ankle deep, really thick, clay-like mud. So I took my shoes off and walked barefoot back to our camp, which was at least half a mile or so.
Right.
And nobody's out on the road at all. Look at the mud there. You can see what it's like walking around
Pretty
barefoot.
thick.
It's hard to find your feet there. That's the same color as the mud. But back to that picture with those two girls. So in the height of the storm, and it's now like about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, these girls decided to pull their wheeled luggage like they're at frickin' LAX through ankle-deep mud for 4 miles to get to the road, and hopefully there hitch a ride down to Reno. But the next big storm is about to hit, and I have no idea what happened to these women. But we're looking at them going, good luck there. So what happened was there's a radio station called the BMIR, Burning Man Information Radio. And they're there to give you like the time for the next special event and well, what they're really supposed to do is tell you about the weather and what the road conditions are and what's going on. All the special events got canceled because of the storm. And then people maybe tried to get out, and they got stuck in the mud. And so they decided to shut all the roads. And then they issued the shelter-in-place order. So everybody's just supposed to stay where you are, even if you're not in your own camp. You're not even supposed to walk around. And this went on for like 2.5 days or something. 2.5 days. Yeah. And we all had a good laugh later when we found out that President Biden had been briefed on the situation at Burning Man, and he's looking for solutions, right? So it's crazy. Oh yeah, there's the text message about that. That was a CNN somehow, but got that report in. So yeah, he's gonna actually come back and visit the Burning Man site in mid-November and tell us what we did wrong or something. So. The rain, oh my gosh, and then the mud on your feet, and then what do? So you try to get the mud off, and then, oh God, it was just a mess. And so the shelter-in-place order, they expanded it so that they said, if you try to leave in your vehicle, you will get stuck in the mud, for sure. And for those who are stuck in the mud, it's the worst thing you could do because you're going to be blocking traffic for everybody else when the roads do firm up and you can drive on them. We're not going to come and help you. We're not going to tow you. You'll be the last guys out of here. After everybody else has left, all 73,000 and the cleanup crew, then we might come and help you. So given that order, or the alternative was, if you happen to make it out all the way to the highway, the police are waiting there for you, and they will cite you, they will arrest you for trespass. And we're like, trespass? Yeah, well, because you're cutting across the Playa without permission, you're in violation of the shelter-in-place order. And we're like, oh my God. So we're just stuck here. And somehow the word got out, and then it was national news. 73,000 people are stranded at Burning Man with limited food, limited water. You had to bring in everything. Right. Nothing was supplied for you except for ice. There was an ice truck where you could buy a bag of ice for $3. Other than that, there was nothing provided. You had to bring in all your water, all your food, all your fuel. Well, the fuel, what do you mean? Okay, so yeah, you run a generator. Well, where's the generator set? Well, it's on the ground. Well, the ground now has got 2 inches of water and mud, right? So nobody was allowed to run their generators because they couldn't keep them dry, and it became electrical problem. Actually, we heard 3 people got electrocuted. That never made the news. One guy died. We're not sure. The cause might have been a drug overdose, but the early word we heard was he died from exposure because he couldn't find his way back to his camp, and he wasn't properly dressed, and he was out overnight, and the temperature that night got down in the 40s. So I don't know really what happened to him. What was your experience like, Carlos?
Like yours, a lot like yours. Towards the end of Burning Man, I was a little disappointed with the situation with the weather and the mud and the rain, but I think we made the best out of it, right?
We did, yeah.
A day before I decided to leave Burning Man, you came over with some beans.
We did,
a pot of beans, and I remember being so hungry. I'm like,
it was a big pot of
cooking.
chili.
Chili, yeah. And you brought some chili and some tequila, and I took a shot of tequila with you. And
these two ladies look like they're making the most of it there.
Yeah,
a little slip and slide and embracing the mud.
And we really should make the most of it. Sometimes life will throw things at you, and Burning Man, can be unpredictable. But I feel like you embraced it.
We did, yeah. We got out
time.
and partied. Boy, Bill, tell us about the time. Bill Price, right? And he's in his early 70s or 71 too. And this is his first Burning Man. And we didn't know. We didn't see this other side of Bill Price, man. Now, Bill Price, I got to say, he's a bit of an adventurer. He just got back from.
Very much so.
He was on the Titan, visiting the Titanic, the submersible that imploded. He was one of the guys that made it, and then the very next voyage on the Titan was the one that failed, and he had a fresh tattoo on his shoulder.
He did. In fact, his Burning Man name, everybody gets a Playa name, as what they call it. His Playa name was the Titanic.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a really special. Did you get a Playa name?
Yeah.
What was your name?
His Majesty.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So anyway, Bill rallied with you guys late one night. What was the name of that? The Bam Bam Club or something?
I don't even remember. But Bill came out with me and my friends that like to party really, really, really hard. And I'm always sober when I go out. I don't need any stimulants or anything. And David came out with us too. And my whole idea was, okay, I got to watch my friends, And man, they can party. I'll just say it that much. But we all had a great time. Bill especially, he stayed up with us until I think maybe 3 or 4 a.m. And he was a trooper. It was a blast hanging out with Bill and listening to music and dancing with random people, hugging random people, and telling random people that we love them. And yeah, it was awesome. And I really hope that you guys come again next year.
Thank you. We hope so too. So David McAlexander, I didn't know this, but one of our club members, he was in our camp. He was a high school gymnast, and there was a bit of a Cirque du Soleil angle to this camp, and he took advantage of it, and he was swinging on the trapeze and bouncing off the walls and climbing around like a crazy man. Yeah.
Especially the night he went out with me and my friends. He was awesome.
Yeah. In fact, I think David's still up there.
He might be.
Yeah.
He might be. Yeah, I guess they say you can take the Burning Man out of the person, or you can take them out of Burning Man, but you can't take the burner out of the person.
We were hoping that he would be here in time to join us, but last I heard, he's still.
There's a photo of the crew right there.
Yeah, that's me and David in the middle with the hat on, and then Carlos. Carlos, tell us about your outfit there. Did you wear that every day?
I wore that every single day. At one point, when we go to Burning Man or any event, Ashley will bring a suitcase full of outfits for me. I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to wear the same thing every single day so that I don't have to worry about my outfit. And it turned out pretty well.
Now, in terms of the logistics here, that's Bill Price's motorhome. I think he paid $2,000 for it. It's a 1992 beater piece of shit motorhome. And we talked about, I said, Bill, I think you paid about $1,800 too much for this. I hope they had a full tank of gas in it when you bought it. Because the transmission wasn't right, and it could never get into the high gear. So we're like in third gear the whole time trying to do 70 miles an hour on the freeway. It's like so noisy and just sucking the gas. We had to stop about every 2 hours to fill up the tank. It was $135 to fill up the gas tank. Yeah. And we didn't make it. We got as far as Sparks, Nevada. Funny thing about Sparks, it's a suburb of Reno, right? And so they say, well, Reno isn't hell, but it's close. From there you could see Sparks. Oh, so we made it as far as Sparks, Nevada, and the motorhome blew up. A belt broke or something, and it was that controlled the power steering. So he's like really having to struggle to steer this thing without power. So we lived over to the side, found a gas station, and then I remembered that Jeff Holmes Holmes is a few minutes behind us. So I called him up, and he said, yeah, I'll be there in 40 minutes. So I asked Bill, I go, do you mind here? I want to make sure I make it to Burning Man. He goes, go. So I go, are you sure you're going to be okay? And he goes, yeah, I got this. I got AAA coming. They're going to fix it. And I go, oh, well, okay. So I felt kind of bad about leaving my wingman there, but I made it from there the rest of the trip with Jeff Holmes and his rental car. That's the thing is, if you're smart, you rent a car to take it to Burning Man because it just gets trashed with all the dust and the mud. So we drove around that first night. Just to get into Burning Man, it took 4.5 hours, I think. So everybody kind of arrived at the same time, and this 12 lanes of traffic works down to 4, and then they physically search everybody. This is the view leaving Burning Man. This is an exodus shot here, but you can see all the cars are equally muddy and dirty there. But it was the same kind of thing coming into Burning Man as well. It kind of was a bit of a buzzkill, waiting in traffic like that, so slow. And then this is, I think, the first morning. So Jeff and I, we were looking around for the rest of the guys, and we couldn't find them. So we just pitched made a tent right there, and I think I slept on the front seat of the car because Jeff snored so loud. Well, about 6 in the there it is, right there. I slept on the front seat, and there's Jeff's tent right next to it. So about 6 in the morning, bam, 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 bam on the window. I go, what? And it was one of the staffers there for Burning Man. He goes, you can't park your car here. This is the bus station or something like that. You got to move in 10 minutes. The buses are coming through. So we quickly broke camp and quickly right away found David McAlexander. He had the Adventuers Club flag flying and a yurt set up and a little camp made up, and then and Bill somehow got in there, found him, and so that's where we stayed. We huddled up. Carlos, you and Ashley were just down a few blocks. So the way they got the city laid out is the first street is called the Esplanade, and then there's lettered streets from A to L, and then it's like a clock going around this way. So it starts at 2 o'clock and it ends up over here at 10 o'clock. So like right down the middle would be 6 o'clock, and then 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, in between the hours, there's actually 6:15, 6:30, 6:45. So if you told somebody, our camp's at 8:15 and H, wow, you knew right where it was, and it was easy to kind of find your way around. Didn't you think it was well laid out?
I thought it was pretty damn well laid out. It was really big too. How did you feel about the size? Just biking everywhere.
Even
about
on your
5 miles radius.
Even on your bike, it would still take you an hour to ride a bicycle just around one side to the other.
Right.
Yeah. Do we have sound on this one? This is a pretty cool video. So this is a guy that...
I'm Judson Graham, and we're out here at the Black Rock Municipal Airport, right next to the Burning Man Festival. This is the last day of it. It's made the news that we experienced quite a bit of rain and flooding and mud, but as of right now, the Playa is pretty much dried back out. It's a really nice surface that's not too dusty, and I've got my paramotor. If you're new to the channel, my thing is flying paramotors. This is my aircraft right here. It's an ultralight aircraft, and I'm going to take you up into the sky over the Burning Man Festival to show you what's going on, mainly with the departure line and how the roads look after the fact. I'm going to put my paramotor, my wing out, and get in the sky. Let's go.
So there's an airport there, temporary airport at Burning Man.
That looks scary.
Flying at Burning Man.
That's pretty cool. I want one of those.
Black Rock City. This is the first for the channel to be flying over Burning Man. There it is. The city is still largely intact. However, there's droves of people leaving the city right now. As you can see by this insane exodus line. Absolutely wild all the way to the street. That is absurd. If It looks like the road conditions is really good. You can see the mud on the side of the road is really still there. There's still water here. But the actual gate road itself seems to be moving, actually. People are rolling out of Burning Man right now. Somebody's out here making a mud sculpture. Yes, absolutely. Quite Burning Man. Somebody's spitting fire down there. It's quite Burning Man as well. Wow, there's a lot of cars. So at the Black Rock City Municipal Airport, I can go all the way around the city to point 3, which is the opposite side. I have this entire side below 750 feet. Ultralight flying only, so that is where we will remain. A lot of the city is still intact. The van still has not burned, and the temple has still not burned. Traditionally, the van will burn on Saturday, and the temple will burn on Sunday. This is now Monday evening, and most of Burning Man is still here. Most of the time, people are leaving by now. Like Monday is kind of the leave, like you're definitely getting out of Burning Man at this point in the day. I've also been requested by the airport to obviously stay outside of the trash fence. So this orange line you see is the trash fence of Burning Man. It's keeping stuff blowing out, and it's the official borders of the event. But it was also requested that we maintain a 45-degree angle away from the trash fence so there is zero confusion amidst anyone as to whether or not we have entered into the actual city. That is the line out of Burning Man right now. As of Monday evening. That's what we're seeing, this insane volume of people leaving the area. There's the man. There's the Temple of the Heart. A lot of the city is thinning out, but it is still definitely there. There is Burning Man from the sky right now, as of Monday. The video I put out of just talking to people, here's what actually went down. Here's the entire scoop of my Burning Man Rainpocalypse experience. I've been here since last Wednesday. We showed up with work access passes to build our camp, set up our rock wall, everything was fantastic. On Friday, it started raining, and it rained basically all day, and soaked everything. There was a huge double rainbow. There was mud on the streets. You couldn't really walk. There was puddles in our camp. We just spent that day inside. On Friday night, I had this feeling that I just needed to document what was happening to me in that moment, even if it was completely unrelated to paramotoring. I was just like, I need to be filming this right now. Burning Man 2023. I wasn't gonna make a video here, but it's pouring rain. It's Friday, and my boot looks like this. Because this is insane. And on Saturday morning, I went around the city and just filmed some of the scenes, and that was kind of the intro of that video. After that, I fired up my Starlink and started looking at the news, and oh my god.
Trapped attendee.
Burning Man Festival. Muddy Man.
Burning Man attendees are being told to shelter in place.
The coverage, I understand there wasn't a lot of information coming in and out of the city. The coverage was just 70,000 people stranded in the desert, without water, without food, and I just felt so, in a way, disheartened. Because what I was seeing on the ground was a group of resilient people who were prepared for the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that picture was taken, that was a selfie, just after we made it out of Burning Man, after we escaped. So the way we got out was everybody was like supposed to leave this way, and we looked around, and I thought, you know what? We're going to just exit stage right here. And so there was like a little alley that went down it wasn't really a road that you're supposed to drive on at all. It was reserved for bicycles, but you couldn't ride a bike on it because it was too soft. And then it opened up off to the side, and then they have what's called a trash fence to try to collect any trash that blows across so it doesn't keep going. Well, we just made a little gate there out of that fence and got out. And then once you're out, an undisturbed Playa that actually supports the vehicle pretty well. And as long as you don't stop, you should be okay. Well, we just getting out, we got stuck in the mud twice. And, it took about an hour or so each time to get the vehicle. It's a two-wheel drive, older motorhome, right? And Bill didn't quite understand the concept of rocking it. You put it in reverse, then forward, and you get it kind of rocking to get it out of the hole in the mud. So he let me try it, and we got it. We popped out, got it up, and then I saw another car going for it, and I thought, I think we can go for it. And I'm looking, and the storm is coming. It's going to get really bad. And you made it out too, huh?
We have a Jeep Willie Wrangler, so it was put in 4x4 and just drove out.
Oh, you had
no
four-wheel
problem.
drive?
Yeah,
Oh
no,
my
it was
gosh.
easy. It was
Yeah.
pretty easy. But for other people that had a 2x2, people were getting stuck all around us.
Yeah.
It's pretty sad,
So
actually.
we're still mindful of, if you do get stuck, you'll be the last one out of here, and if you do make it to the highway, you will be arrested. So with that in mind, we decided to go for it, and we just said, we're not going to stop. We're not going to stop. And so it was David McAlexander who came up with the analogy. It's kind of like a salmon run, right? The bear's going to get some fish, but he's not going to get them all. And so we thought we're going to be one of the lucky salmon and make it fast. And so sure enough, as we're going for it, and we never slowed down to below 20 and just kept going on the Playa here. In a little bit of mud, you could hear it hitting the wheel wells. And then there's a guy who's there, and he's with the Burning Man staff, and he's like trying to tell us something, but we're not going to stop for him, just in
Happened
case.
to us too.
And he's saying, see the red and blue lights up there? Aim for that. And we're like, is this a trick? Because that's the cop. And so but we ended up driving for him, and sure enough, that was the best route out, and he didn't care. The cop didn't care. He's like, what is he going to do, right? So, but there was a bunch of people there with their thumbs up in the air to try to get a ride. I go, Bill, do you want to pick him up? And he goes, no, we're not stopping for anything.
Can't stop, yeah.
Yeah, because they were so muddy. Oh, my God. So were we, though.
Yeah.
But I tell you, it just felt great to be on the road again, on pavement. And they said that they were going to cancel all events, including Burning the Man, which is kind of like the grand finale. I mean, that's what you go for. And we're like, wow, if they're not going to do that, what are we sticking around for? If we can get out, let's get out. Is that the way you felt, too?
That's the way I felt, too. And then they decided to change their mind and burn the man on Monday night. So you missed out on that.
Oh, so...
Is that I think that's not the man.
Yeah, that's a little burn, I think.
Yeah.
The Burning Man was a much bigger one than that, I think. But and with fireworks and everything, it was quite the show.
I saw it last year when we went to Burning Man, so Oh,
there it is. Yeah. So now Danee Hazama, one of our club members, never did see him.
Yeah, I didn't see him either.
We went by his camp, and every time we went by the camp, he wasn't there.
He was always in the Playa doing something.
Partying it up pretty good.
Yeah.
So he's missing in action, too. We were hoping that he'd be here as well tonight, but hopefully he's okay.
He's doing good. I
sure,
believe
yeah.
so. But definitely gotta do it again next year. And if you're watching, I highly encourage you guys to check out Burning Man.
So is it too soon to ask? Are you ready for it next year?
Absolutely. It's all I think about.
You're in. You're in.
I'm so excited.
You're all in. Okay.
Are you all? I believe you're all in. Yeah.
I'm all in. Yeah, too. And people
100%.
ask me, you're either burners or you're not, right?
It's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. You either like it or you don't like it. So if you don't like it, we don't want you there. We only want people that are going to fully immerse themselves into the experience. But
well, what do you think the qualifications are?
You just have to be down. You got to be ready to, go with the punches and just adapt to your situation and just have an open heart and open mind and really try to just immerse yourself into whatever you get into.
So there's tent campers and the RVers. Were they mixing it up pretty well?
Yeah, I believe so. I was a tent camper. I like the tent camping because it forces you to wake up early in the morning because of the heat.
Now, what
RV's cool.
What about the porta potties?
Oh, that was a mess towards the end.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Up to the brim of
here's a
pee.
porta potty here.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, there's so much mud. So it's interesting because some of the ladies adopted a porta potty, and they had a rack of them. Is there volume on this? So this is a dusty porta potty. This is before the big rains. So, anyway, I would say if I had to pick one word to describe the porta potties, it was just horrendous.
Yeah.
The mud, they
Made it
filled
worse.
up.
To the top.
You couldn't tell where the shit stopped and the mud started. It was
Pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
Do I need to paint a better picture for you? Oh my God!
Did you guys
The
use
trucks couldn't get there to
Yeah.
clean them up, and it was
that
a
part
big
was pretty
mess.
disturbing, I'd say.
Yeah. So
Did you have to wake up to use the porta potty? Did you guys just go in the trailer?
we just used a pee bottle,
Yeah.
And help,
Walk
yeah.
it over to the porta potty and dump it.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, they had to remind everybody on the Burning Man radio station, do not use the Playa as your litter box, Try to use the toilets.
I mean, at one point, I had no choice. I mean, I had to go. When you gotta go, you gotta go. And the porta potties, unfortunately, they were filled to the brim. You couldn't go anywhere else.
That part is brutal. So, I think if we're going to do it again, it's a really nice motorhome, not a 1992 piece of shit. That's not going to make it. It's got a shower, and a toilet.
I don't think it's gonna rain next year. It's unlikely.
Nah, it's probably not going to rain. This is the first time it's rained in 27 years or something
like that. It's like lightning
big rain anyway. So there's the rainbow.
twice.
Gave us hope, right?
The rainbow was pretty epic.
Yeah, everybody's cheering that and.
Howling like dogs.
Yeah, it was really a religious experience for a lot of people. They thought it was a sign from the heavens.
Definitely. Yeah, it was awesome.
So, is there another video? We have one more video, I think. Oh, this is the nipple dunk challenge here.
Yes.
So it's a chance to cool your nipples off, and that's me doing the. I think she looked a lot better than me. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's me doing the nipple dunk challenge.
Michael was down. I challenged Michael, and he's like, "Okay, I'm up for it. Let's do it."
What could go wrong, right?
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah, felt refreshing. So here's our drive out. And see, these guys are trying to hitch a ride. And here's the park ranger there with the lights, blue and red. And Chris Rock was there somewhere. I think he got a ride. And then, oh my God, we're on pavement now. Next stop, Gerlach, where we had a little pizza. And I made it home to Sacramento and flew from Sacramento back to John Wayne. Barbara picked me up, and we made it home in time for Barbara's birthday. Yeah,
Yay.
that was on on Monday, Labor Day, September 4th. So we could have been stuck in Burning Man, but I decided it's better to escape and get back home and celebrate Barbara's birthday there. Yeah. We're in the same outfit, actually.
You are.
Yeah. Well, I think that just about wraps it up, and I think we'll open it up for questions now.
I'm going to start with a question. When you get a ticket to Burning Man, what do you get? Do you get a tent spot? What do you get with a ticket?
Okay, so it allows you entrance, and then you got to find your own place to set up camp. So the primo spots close to the Burning Man are all pre-reserved camps from people that have been there for many, many years. They apply well ahead of time, and they have to meet all these requirements. They have to be repeat customers, and they actually check their campsites to make sure they leave no trash from the previous year. Then they get invited back. And so you keep working your way up the status symbol or the chain of command to a better campsite. So there's a lot of pride in their campsites. For those of us who are not part of those established camps, you have to be in the outer rings. So that's why we're in H ring,
Yeah, H.
which is a bit a ways from where the action is. cameras, and then you're just kind of on your own. You just pick a spot. It's kind of like picking a place to lay your beach towel down on the 4th of July at Newport. You just, where's some room? Okay, let's pick it right here. And then things that you take into consideration are, you want to be on a busy road or not? Probably not. And then how close do you want to be to the porta potties?
Right.
Obviously not too close, but you don't want to be too far away either. So you take all those things into consideration. So mostly you just get for the $575 ticket, that gives you just the price of admission to get in the gate.
So you could have 5 or 6 people at one campsite or one person at one campsite?
Yeah, you could be solo, and there were some of that. But most of the people come with friends, and they kind of circle the wagons with either their cars and put the tents in the middle, or the RVs, and they make a little, maybe have fire ring, or they bring in the beach chairs, and they circle the campsite.
Now, I'm just curious, when you get there, is there somebody saying that's a campsite, or can you take 2 or 3? Or
you have to kind of just figure it out and use your best judgment. Be cool to your neighbors. What was your experience, Carlos? You had some friends.
Kind of like that. They've been burners for 5 years now, so I just kind of go along with what they do. But yeah, sometimes it can be difficult finding a designated place to camp if it's already occupied, or maybe the person you're trying to camp next to already has that space reserved for a friend. So you just have to be respectful.
So I'd say before you lay your towel down at the beach, so to speak,
You have to ask.
You stop and you get out and you go meet the neighbors and see if you're going to be compatible. And
Yeah,
you say,
yeah.
hey, is it cool if I park here? And they're generally going to welcome you. And where are you from? Usually with a big hug and
Yeah.
give you something right off the bat. Share something. Yeah.
Great. Other questions? Hold on.
Thank you for sharing. What is the Burning Man symbolism and the castle?
You know what? You have to ask probably a more veteran burner than me, but I'll tell you what my impression is that it started in San Francisco on a beach just outside of Golden Gate Park, and some guy just thought it'd be fun to build something and light it on fire. And you dance around and you hoop and holler, and it's kind of cool to see this thing burn. And then it evolved into burning a man. I don't know what the symbolism there, but it's sort of like, it's just wild. It's just like Jimmy Buffett said, it's time to cross the wild meridian. And it's just the energy that you get from seeing this giant structure on fire. People are dancing around in the desert. It's kind of wild. Yeah. So, but there's another burn called the temple burn that is a little bit more contemplative. And you're supposed to write down your fears or write down something that really bothers you. And it's cathartic, is that the right word? Where you take that message and you put it inside the temple burn, and then everybody stands around, and that is very solemn. Nobody says a word. And that burn lasts maybe an hour, and everyone just kind of stands around almost like in prayer.
Yeah.
And that's the day after the Burning Man. So if you have the Burning Man on Saturday and the temple burn on Sunday, typically. That didn't happen this year. Everything got postponed to Monday and Tuesday because of the rains.
Hey, you said they search you on the way in. What does that involve, and what exactly are they looking for?
Thank you for that. They're looking for people stowing away. They didn't buy a ticket. They're looking for pets. You're not allowed to have any dogs or cats or animals of any kind. You're not allowed to have firearms, obviously. There's no weapons. You're not allowed to bring in fireworks. You're not supposed to bring in drugs. They ask you the question, do you have any drugs? You say no. Of course, a lot of people do. And it's loosely enforced. So you're supposed to be totally self-sufficient, bringing in all your food, water, fuel for a week. And everybody, like Carlos said, everybody is extremely self-sufficient, self-reliant, but also sharing with your neighbors as well. What else were they looking for? Anything else you can think of?
Motor vehicles, gas motor vehicles, I think.
Oh, yeah. So if you brought in fuel, like a 5-gallon jerry jug with gasoline, there are rules about that, where you store it. So it had to be set away from the other vehicles or tents, and think about like a child's wading pool that was empty, and you put the gas can in that, so just in case it leaked, it wouldn't get out onto into the dry lake bed, and it was away from structures, so in case it caught fire, it wouldn't be a massive fire, because there is a lot of wind there too, so a fire would be pretty catastrophic. There might be something else, but those are the kinds of things that they're looking for. So every vehicle to do the search takes 5 to 10 minutes, depends. If it's a big motorhome, it could take 10 minutes. And so that's really what caused the slowdown for the entry, getting people in there.
And if you get caught trying to sneak somebody in, everyone in your group is not allowed into Burning Man.
Yeah.
So they're really, really strict about that.
Yeah. But they're also pretty cool. So they don't have a lot of problems, and then there's greeters at the gate, and so when you actually make it past that checkpoint and you get to the entrance to Black Rock City, you're greeted royally, and they give you a big hug. If you want to, for first-time burners,
did you do it?
You're encouraged. I did not.
Oh, Michael.
You're supposed to lay down in the dirt and do a dirt angel on the Playa.
Correct.
And I was with with Jeff Holmes, and he said, Michael, whatever you say, you're going to say it's not my first burn, because you're not getting back in the car. You're all dusty like that. So
I did it my first burn. It was awesome, but it ruined the car.
The dirt angel.
Questions? I've got one more. I read an article. Where when Burning Man started, it was this big, I don't say anti-establishment, but sort of nonconformist, sort of outlander type individual, and now it's become more and more. They actually had the statistics on the age and the income brackets and who's going to Burning Man, and it's becoming more and more like mainstream with it, and you got even elites going to it, because you said Chris Rock's there, Elon Musk went to it, all these different people. What's your experience from that standpoint, from it being an outlander type of activity to more mainstream?
Well, I think the outlander thing is part of the attraction, and so guys like me are interested in getting our feet wet, that kind of experience. So we consider ourselves out there on the edge and adventurers, and so we're open for any kind of game and possibility there is. Now, some true burners that have been going for 20 years or so, those are a bit out there, and there's some guys that are really trippy, but that's part of the experience, and that's why we go. So, yeah.
What are the 10 principles of Burning Man? Resilience, I kept hearing.
Oh, are you putting your teacher hat on here for us here? So I don't know, but there are some things like radical self-reliance is one, and then sharing, and then that kind of stuff. Those are very important. Oh, leave no trace. That's an important one, and we're careful not to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the kinds of things. And there's 6 more, but I forget what they are.
Unfortunately, I can't remember off the top of my head, but Ashley probably knows. Do you, Ashley, do you know any?
Radical self-acceptance.
Radical self-acceptance.
Be in the constant now.
Be in the constant now.
So that means you're like in the present moment.
Be in the present moment.
Experiencing one event to the next, and each event will be a surprise. Like you won't imagine to run into seeing hundreds of people dressed like bunnies, but once you do, you be a part of that experience, and then you go on to the next.
And what about the next one?
I'm trying to remember.
Oh, you forgot too. There's a booklet that you're supposed to follow, like a manual, like a Bible almost, and it has everything there. But I feel like we did all the rules correctly.
I think we did. Yeah, we followed the rules except for shelter in place.
You can remember, you followed them, right? Okay, one more question. The goggles I saw on the news. A lot of people with goggles on. Is that something that is like required? Is it something that they say bring goggles? And I'm assuming
It's highly recommended.
I'm assuming that's the desert dust is what the issue is.
Yeah,
Go ahead and tell me.
In fact, these are still dusty. I didn't want to clean them off totally, but you would be a wreck out there in 5 seconds if you didn't have goggles like this when the dust storm comes
I
in.
actually went to the hospital. They have a hospital there, believe it or not, and I went for a couple hours because I tore my cornea from rubbing it from the dust getting into my eye. So they needed to give me antibiotics, but you need goggles for sure.
Yeah, and you want them tinted like this too because it blows during the middle of the day and it's really quite sunny out. And also when you want to have a bit of a
Face mask.
or a
Moisturizer.
Is that known going in that they say, bring goggles? Because the news reports I saw, people had major goggles like that. It wasn't like they just had some glasses or something.
Yeah, well, if you've been once, I'm sure that's on your checklist for sure. You're not gonna come to Burning Man again without a good set of goggles. But yeah, if you Google, what should I wear at Burning Man? Things to pack or don't pack. Goggles is number one. Yeah, for sure, a really good set of goggles. It's essential, I'd say. Yeah.
Goggles and water.
Water, oh yeah.
Yeah, a lot of water.
Well, I gotta hydrate, right? Whether it's beer or tequila or something. Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you all very much for coming tonight.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed it. Let's do Burning Man together next year, huh?
Oh, one more question over here. I'm sorry. One more question.
Not a question, but I've been a member of the club since the 90s, and this duel, whether it was 2 or 4 or 5 or whatever, but I think it's a great idea, and I hope we see more of it.
Well, thank you.
Great job.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
thank you, Bob. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah, by the way, this is my 15th program that I've given at the Adventurers Club. And if you want to come back next week, it's my regular scheduled program. Tonight, I was a substitute because our ultra-marathoner got COVID, so I had to fill in for him. And it's very topical to talk about Burning Man. But next Thursday, I hope you all come, and it's going to be the Adventures of Michael Lawler. I'll be sharing with you about 15 of my favorite little stories that I only share with my close friends, mostly about sneaking into special events around the world.
Barbara be here?
Barbara will be here, yeah. She's a big part of some of this stuff.
Downplaying stories.
The PG version, no. It'll be great. Please come next week or anytime you can. I hope you come back to the world-famous Adventurers Club of Los Angeles. Thank you all very much.